Marcus Trescothick struck his 4th LV County Championship 100 of the season as he and Peter Trigo recovered a rather troublesome situation for Somerset on the opening day of their LV County Championship match with Northamptonshire at Wantage Road. Trescothick called correctly at the toss and decided to bat first, but he lost his opening partner Chris Jones in the 6th over as he lost his off-stump to Azzarola. He was out with a total on 14, and 7 runs later, the in-form Nick Compton also had a stump knocked out of the ground by David Willey to go for 7. Somerset gave a championship debut to Colin Ingram, the South African one-day international, who arrived at the county in place of the test-bound Alvaro Peterson. And he and Trescothick began to lead a recovery, one that was needed for a side who know that a win here will put them right near the top of the table again. Trescothick had been left out of the Somerset side for their T20 match on the previous night against Gloucestershire, so he possibly had a point to prove. He added 51 runs in 15 overs with Ingram, who was out for 14 when he pulled a short ball from Ollie Stone to Matt Spreagle at square leg. This was a last chance saloon for Northamptonshire. They would have been pleased with their morning session in which they'd kept their opponents to 93 for 3. James Hildreth and Trescothick added 24 more runs to that in the first 6 overs of the afternoon. But Northants kept plugging away and were rewarded again when Hildreth on 26 was LBW to an in-swinger from Willey. Trescothick had batted solidly through the first 39 overs of the day, and then he struck Stone for 3 fours in 1 over, one of which came off the edge to bring him his 50 off 122 deliveries, that being his 8th boundary. It hadn't been vintage Trescothick by any means, but he knew that when he scored well this summer, his side has normally won. Now to the dangers of this game. Craig Kieswetter had moved with few problems onto 14 off 15 balls when he top-edged a short delivery from Willey into his face, the ball lodging inside the helmet, damaging his right eye. At the non-striker's end, Trescothick immediately knew that his keeper was in trouble and called for help, as did the close-in fielders. Sadly, Kieswetter had to retire hurt straight away. After a brief break, Kieswetter's replacement Trigo edged his first ball to Andrew Hall, who believed that he'd caught the ball cleanly. Trigo held his ground though, and after the umpires consulted, it was given not out. Our camera doesn't really clear anything up either, as is often the case when such things are seen through a lens. It was the big moment of the day. That would have left the visitors on 143 for 5 with Kieswetter off. Trigo was to survive for much of the rest of the day, batting through 40 overs with his captain. What made it worse for Northamptonshire was that Trigo went on to make a half-century off only 57 balls, and that was after he'd slowed down as he approached his 50. He'd made the most of his slice of fortune, striking 9 fours to get to his mark, and he soon had his side at their 250 as well. When in this kind of form, Trigo can be unstoppable, and his aggression was starting to put his side well on top before the tea interval. Trescothick, who getting to 82 passed 22,000 runs in his first-class career, then completed his 55th 100. He was gifted the 4 that took him there, his 17th boundary overall, and he was raising his bat after spending 265 minutes at the crease, in which he'd faced 201 balls. Once again, he'd led from the front for his team. And he and Trigo continued to advance their partnership into the final session, eventually taking the total to 296 when Northamptonshire fought back strongly late in the day. Trescothick had seen out 80 overs in making his excellent 124 when he was finally dismissed, edging Hall to Stone at slip. And just 4 balls later, Trigo also fell for 77, Stone getting the wicket this time by trapping the batsman in front, although the ball may have done too much off the pitch. Trigo was out just after the 300 had been posted, and the 2 wickets in quick succession now left it to Craig Overton and Lewis Gregory to make the most of the work done by Trigo and Trescothick. Overton, not for the first time this summer, looked good with a bat in his hands. That was until, on 20, he turned a delivery from Willey into the hands of Spreagle at mid-wicket. Gregory followed in the next over, guiding a ball from Stone to Kyle Kurtzer after making 10. Somerset now losing 5 wickets for 36 runs in the space of 7 overs. So all that was left for the home side, who were missing their captain Stephen Peters with a calf injury, was to finish off the innings. But on a day of last stands, George Dockrell and Alfonso Thomas saw out the final 8 overs in adding 34 runs. That left Somerset on 366 for 8 at the close, with Kieswetter out of action. Northamptonshire will look back at that Hall catch or not catch as the turning point of the day. Without it, they may have come out of a day on top, and they haven't been able to do that many times this year.